Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity Podcast, episode 258. If you are listening on the day of release, like I know many of you do, it is the 8th of August. So we are well and truly in British summertime. And today we were due to have Andrea Thompson on, who's a world's strongest woman and 4 times Britain's strongest woman and everything. But for some reason, we don't have Andrea with us. I'm not sure why. Maybe something has come up and we will try and reschedule and get Andrea on again. But you are going to be joined by Pete and myself today. Okay. And we realized we just looked back and there's been 6 episodes since we last did one together. So that's actually quite, we try and sort of aim for kind of almost one a month together. So just so we can catch up and talk about guests and what we've learnt from them and that sort of thing. So I will just go back over the last 6 weeks, or I will in a second. That is after I have touched base with Mr. Peter Lant. He was just about to have a drink there. And then I've just said, I'm going to go. It's like TV, this. I'm just going to go live. So he's put his water bottle down and he's ready to talk to me. How are you doing, Pete? Okay.
What I need is a hand to come in just to finish my makeup off. And then I'm ready now.
Very mate.
Are
you feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. I was not. It's funny. I was reflecting this week on last week, and by the end of last week, I was knackered, and I don't know why. Like, again, I get plenty of sleep and all of that sort of stuff, but I was really tired. But just is what it is. I've had I don't know, a quieter week this week, and I feel fine. Because I've been doing a lot of things, like thinking about, like, am I busy or am I productive and things like that this week. And actually, it's one of those weeks when I don't need to be busy. And because what I've done stuff over the last few weeks that have been really like good and moved a lot of things forward with like walking souls and stuff like that. Like we're doing a retreat and things. So that's all organized and we've got the people all paid up and ready to go and it's all booked. So I don't need to do much more with that right now. So it's given me some time this week to chill out, which has been lovely because it'll get busy again. You know what I mean? So like, it's just like you are at the minute, right? So, you know,
I'm just thinking, I know we have mentioned it before, but one day we will have to do a unique results / walking solve / health oddity treat, won't we? You know,
yes,
to do that
because extravaganza.
Because that worked so well. The walking weekend we did was absolutely great. I mean, we had that's the thing, because we've had all these guests back to back. We haven't really talked about that yet. But the walking weekend, have we? Because we've been kind of guesting for the last 6 episodes. But the walking weekend that we did down in Bath, I mean, was a roaring success. And I just happened to speak to Mickey, actually, Mickey Brindley, just before I came home to do the podcast, and he was there training.
Is that Mickey of Mickey and Nicky?
It's Mickey of Mickey and Nicky fame. Yeah,
I love that.
And it's Mickey who's he had it. I mean, he's 69 years of age. I think he might be 70 this year. He's had a hip replacement, you know, but he's in fantastic.
He's fairly kind of sturdy.
He's solid. He's strong. He's had a hip replacement. He's great. So, and he did the kind of 11-mile walk that we did on the Saturday. And he was just saying actually that he found that the Saturday was actually, even though it was double the distance, was actually much easier going than the Friday, which was obviously the extreme heat and the burning sun and the kind of the uphill kind of walk as well. So no, I mean, we'd have to do that. Would be great. I think some kind of health oddity retreat where we do, you know, maybe walking, maybe we find somewhere on the coast so that we can also do some swimming in the sea and some cold sort of stuff, and we can do some training as well. And
everyone can see us in our speedos. That'll be good.
Maybe get some some budgie smugglers with like avocados all over them to help oddity.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to say online here, Andrea has just messaged me and said, "Bugger, are you still there?" Okay, this is live on the podcast as we're talking. She was cutting the grass. What should I say? Can we go like? Can you do? Should I just message her back? This is live, everybody. I'm just going to say, can you do 3 p.m.? Can you do 3 p.m.? And I'm just going to say this is the power of live broadcasting.
You
Because,
keep saying that we're not broadcasting live; we're recording it.
well, we're recording,
Oh,
but it's not going to be edited out because we don't do that. It's just going. I'd rather leave it,
keep it real.
keep it real. Yeah, keep it
Whoa.
real. Okay. Let's see what she comes back to, and if she comes back and says she can do three, then we'll do her a second episode afterwards.
Excellent. Right. Anyway, crack on.
Absolutely. I'll set Alexa and my phone alarm. I'm just going to say, sorry, this is all, well, it is superb. See you at 3.
Excellent. Right. Anyway.
Anyway, we're back on.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. That's sorted. Good. Anyway, we're back on. Yes. So, yes,
Us in our speedos.
avocado speedos.
Yes.
That's where we were, wasn't it? Okay. So what we will talk about today, we'll touch on the walking weekend once we get going, because I think that was really good. And I think it's also really interesting because we had a few people in their 70s doing that. Bev and Keith in their 70s, and lots of other people in their 60s. And it was fantastic how everyone kind of coped with it. And it was really, really good that Sean did a sort of a second walk on the Saturday for Jenny, because Jenny and Kelvin, I mean, Jenny this time last year, I think she was possibly still in intensive care, or she'd recently got out of intensive care, but she nearly died, of sepsis. She was really in a bad, bad way. And she came on the walking weekend and obviously came out with us on the Friday, and kind of did probably, a good sort of 3 miles on the Friday, but just kind of couldn't get up that last hill,
She was close to the top of the hill.
Yeah.
But she said she's starting to feel lightheaded. If people say like my heart rate's going in that, it's like, right, just have a rest. And then as soon as people start saying they feel lightheaded, I'm like, right, it's probably best to like
turn around,
not to turn around,
Yeah.
So usually would send someone off with them and that, but Kelvin was there as well, wasn't he? And he was all right with it and everything. And they knew their way back because they'd been there the day before and everything. So that was good. Otherwise, I would have gone with them and come and caught you lot back up, which wouldn't have been very nice in that 30-degree heat, but
no, it was all good. It's all good. So our last 6 guests that we've had Ben Glasscock on episode 252, Johnny Skinner, episode 253, Dave Adkins from Principal Physiotherapy, episode 254, Stevie Shanks from The Gathering on 255, Jack Kirby from Essex Podiatry Clinics, 256. And then on the last episode, we had Mr. Samuel Stowe, or Sam Stowe, from Australia, who was the ultra endurance runner that we had on last episode, 257. So, I mean, what I love about those guests, if you look at those 6 guests, they're really varied, aren't they? Ben Glasscock is a professional strongman who I think we said came 5th in Britain's strongest man, and we're going to be seeing at the Royal Albert Hall at the weekend. Johnny Skinner is an 11 times kettlebell sport world champion. Dave Adkins is a physiotherapist. Stevie Shanks is a rock and roll drummer and sort of stone lifter, and involved in stone
with pedigree as well.
With pedigree, Jack Kirby is a podiatrist, and then we followed the podiatrist with Sam Stowe, who was an ultra endurance runner, and we talked quite a lot about kind of barefoot training and barefoot lifestyle with Sam. So they all kind of were different, but what's great is that they kind of, in a weird way, kind of flow into each other. There's a connection there, isn't there? I find.
If you look at it, Ben Glasscock's outright strength. Sam was outright endurance, basically. I mean, he was talking a bit like you need some strength in that, but it's mainly endurance. Johnny's strength, endurance. And then Dave and Jack. Dave's like about keeping people moving and away from injury and all that. And obviously you need good mobility to be able to do the stuff that all of those guys do. And then they've all got 2 feet. So it's it's like it's amazing how it all fits together. And then obviously Stevie is like in amongst all of that, isn't he?
No, it's great. It really is. And I love the fact that we're coming up to 5 years now. If this is episode 258, we said episode 260 is the 5 year anniversary. And I think so 259 is going to be Andrea Thompson. And then 260 will be Dr. Nancy Allen again.
It will be, yeah.
So speaking to her, so that'll be the 5 year anniversary. So no, it's great. Yeah. So going back to the walking, I mean, for me, that was probably one of the most enjoyable walking weekends that we've done. And I think we've probably done, I'm trying to think when the first one we did was, but that we've probably been doing them for getting on for 10 years now, I think. And I think partly, obviously, was having you and Sean there who knew where we were walking. Yeah, made a massive difference
It
because
does, doesn't
because
it?
usually we've got maps printed out, or even not even maps sometimes, just like written directions,
Yeah.
and like we've spoke about before, when you're walking around the countryside and you're trying to walk over stiles and you're walking through fields and things, it's really following a kind of a written direction is really, really difficult.
Well, without going too much into it, it all changes as well. If you go somewhere and there's a route that you've got planned out, or it says on the internet that there's a route and it's all planned out and everything, when you get there, it might or might not be there because it might all be overgrown. You never know what it's going to look like.
Mm,
Or it might be, if you go in the winter, it might be super muddy and slippy and not impassable, but not ideal for people in the
yeah.
60s and 70s and what have you. So you never know. So it's
Mm,
always good to have local knowledge.
yeah.
Unless you're more adventurous and you want to do those sorts of things. But when you're taking a group
Mm,
of people in that, it's always good to know because we were on a walk last night and there was a tree down in
mm,
the path, so we had to climb over it, which was
mm,
great because everyone was fine with it, But it's like it's one of the like these are the things that you need to be aware of. So it was really good.
yeah.
And yeah, and well, thanks for saying that as well. But there was another guy there last night who's a teacher, and he said it was really interesting. A guy called Justin. He said it was really interesting that um, usually in situations he's in
Hmm.
charge because he's a teacher, right? So he's in front of a
Yeah.
class or whatever, and he's in charge. He said this is really good, nice for him because it's outside of work, and he just turns up and doesn't need to know where we're going, what we're doing. You just turn up at the start and we'll go
Yeah.
for a walk, and he doesn't need to know anything about it. He just needs to enjoy it, and he can
Yeah.
switch off. Um, and he loves that because it takes away all of the responsibility, all of the stress that he's got throughout his entire day. And
Mm,
I said that's exactly what we're trying to set up, and that's what we want to set up around the world. Is you just turn up and we take care of everything, and it's
mm.
like a couple of hours out of your life, and that's it.
I think that's
You
what we
don't
we
have to
get.
worry.
We get that a lot as well at the gym because people who maybe they've got really important sort of stressful jobs or they run their own business and they're making decisions all day and they're kind of like that, like I say they're they've got a lot of responsibility at work. Sometimes, I mean, there's a lady called Heidi that I train, and I'll be training her tonight at like 8 p.m. She'll come in at 8 p.m. She's been up in London all day. She's a like a compliance, like chief compliance officer or something for like a major bank in the city. So she's very, very senior. And then when she comes in, we actually, because there's no one else in the gym at that time, we turn the music off, so we literally have it silent. It's really quiet. There's just the two of us in there, and she doesn't have to think, like you say, she doesn't have to think about anything. It's just like, right, okay, let's do this. And we talk while we're training, but it's just her time to kind of zone out, do something for herself, and kind of just decompress, I suppose. So we have zero music, we're the only two people in there, and it's nice and relaxed, and it's just an hour, just me and her, and it's kind of ideal. And like you say, people need that, I think, or some people
Yeah,
need that. Whereas paradoxically, some people maybe they're on their own all day and they've got a very they live a very solitary life, especially if they're working from home on their own
yeah.
and they're sat on a computer. So they want to come and be surrounded by people, and get their social time as well when they train. So yeah.
Absolutely. You see, it goes even beyond that for me to the point where you try to decide what film you're going to watch this evening.
Mm,
And years ago, you used to just put a film on or whatever video you had or the DVD or whatever you'd got from the
mm,
shop or whatever was on telly at the time.
mm.
Because there was a film at like 9 o'clock most nights, wasn't it? Now
Yeah.
it takes you an hour to decide what you want to watch.
You've got too
But
much choice.
exactly the paradox
Yeah.
of choice. So decision fatigue is massive.
Yeah.
Because people are like having to decide between this and that all day long, and it uses up, even if it uses up like a tiny amount of energy, it's like doing it every like 5 minutes.
Mm.
So when it comes to training or whatever, that's why having a coach is great, because they take it all away. Like Paul, I can write my own programs and stuff like that, but Paul just sends it to us, and I do it.
Mm.
I'd say without question. I do it with a lot of moaning and whinging and whining and stuff like that. You won't see it on the videos, but anyway, I do. But I know what I'm doing,
Mm.
and I know roughly how long it's going to take, and I know for me in between rest periods, I can do different things, and so I get like lots of things done. So
Mm.
it actually works really well. But ask me to choose a film at night, and I'm like, Sean will be like, "What do you want to watch?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't care. Anything. I
Yeah,
really don't
yeah,
mind. I don't want
yeah.
to have to think about that because it'll make me tired for tomorrow." So
Yeah.
like you say, like turning up at the gym with a coach, doing whatever you want. I like it when you said turn the music off, because when you said the name Heidi, I just think of like the Heidi music as she walked in the door.
What you mean
Yeah.
the
Does
yeah,
it
is that
follow
Swedish?
around?
Is he Swedish or something? Where? What country? Norwegian or something? I don't know.
It was Swiss, wasn't it? I'm
Swiss,
sure she
Swiss,
was.
probably. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
Swiss. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was it. Yeah, everyone who's our age will remember that, won't they? But
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but decision
Yeah.
fatigue is massive, and especially if you're in a big like a job like that. So giving people that space in their lives is brilliant. They still get to do the thing; they just don't have
Mm.
to worry about doing it. And that's
Mm.
holidays. That's what holidays and everything, isn't it? Like people, I mean, a lot of people now sort their own holidays out, but you used to, just go to a travel
Travel
agent
agent.
and they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we'll sort it all for you," So
Yeah.
brilliant.
No, it's great. And then also another thing that's been happening, obviously this weekend just gone. I was at UK Strongest Man up in
You were.
Nottingham. Yeah, which was fantastic. It was good to catch up with Lucy Underdown, catch up with Terry Hollands, have a chat with some of them. Like we're going to be speaking to Chris Beetham, the Beef.
Yeah.
In a few weeks' time, and I think he's also been. He was a Donald Dinny Day champion, wasn't he, as well?
Yeah, he's in the yeah, he won, yeah, because he's in the Stones documentary and what have you, isn't he? And he's in,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, Stevie mentioned me, didn't he? No, yeah, he said something about he let himself down on Facebook, I think, when he was this weekend just gone.
Right.
He said something about the first day or something, and I didn't show up how I wanted to, and Stevie had commented on it saying, "Yeah, but remember you won the Donald Dinny Day, so you know
Yeah,
you're
he
very
did.
good.
He
You're
did
very
really
good."
well because he came. So the podium was Andrew Flynn came first,
Yeah,
and then Chris Beetham came second,
yeah,
and then Paul Smith, who's won it for the last 3 years, came third. So
yeah.
it was a really great day, a great weekend. It was 2 days, and it was so good. And I took Bella along, and she's so funny, because she's only she's only 9. She's nothing of her, but she knows all the people. And in the program or something, she saw Matt Diamond. And last year, I think he had a bit of a mohawk
Yeah.
kind of thing, and this year he's got just like his hair pushed back into a little sort of top knot, and it's all shaved around the sides. And she's so funny. She goes, "Oh, Matt's not got his mohawk this year," like knows them all. And then she looked up at the poster. There's a huge poster, and she goes, "Oh, that's Andrew Flynn, Paul Smith, and what was the other guy? The Highland Zeus.
Can't remember.
Damn,
Is that the guy with the beard? The
yeah,
really,
yeah.
really,
He
really well kept, symmetrical, like
Oh, no, 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 no. That's Scott
yes,
Scott Milne, and we met him. No, it
that's
was
a good beard that he's got.
oh,
Honestly, it's
Highland
amazing.
Zeus. It's going to do my. It's going to. Lewis Jack, because Lewis Jack was there, but he'd recently, I think earlier in the week, in his last session, he kind of ruptured his Achilles, so he was
Oh,
kind of there in a wheelchair with his foot in kind of he was doing a bit of the kind of commentary, a bit of the pieces to camera
yeah.
on the TV because he was meant to be competing and he had to pull out.
Just like it,
Yeah.
like Bella going to school and all the kids talking about Little Mix or I don't know, like Dua Lipa or whatever, all of this sort of stuff, and she's talking about Matt Diamond and
Yeah,
Chris
well,
Beaton and all
I took obviously a load of pictures, and there's a picture with her with Lucy, her with Terry Hollands, me and her with like I say, Scott Milne, who's got the really
Yeah.
symmetrical kind of
Yeah,
square,
yeah. That beard is
massive
amazing.
beard. And then Steph's dad printed the printed load of photos off for her to take into school on the Monday for like show and tell, And so she would have just been like, "Yeah, I was at the Strongest Man at the weekend, and this is all the people." Who know and who kind of talked to her, and Chris Beetham was really sweet actually, because we met him on the first day, and then I said, "Oh, Bella's been the last 3 years," and then and then he said, "Oh, you must be my lucky mascot then, because I've made the finals every year that you've and
Oh,
stuff."
nice.
So it was really sweet, and she really remembered that. So
Oh,
no,
brilliant.
it was good. But yeah, that was, and again, just a great event, and just seeing people just performing at that kind of at that level. And I think going back to that, when we spoke to Ben Glasscock a few weeks back, 6 weeks ago, when he was talking about the sports psychologist and having, do you remember he said that he had a
Yeah.
sports psychologist because he was now stepping up and he's in these Giants live shows, and especially at the Royal Albert Hall, he's going to be on the same, competing against, world's strongest, well, few times world's strongest men and things like that. And it's just having that belief where initially it was like, oh, I'm just happy to be here, because
Yeah.
in that company, I'm just making the numbers up and I'm happy to be here. Then to actually thinking, well, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to do my absolute best and I'm going to compete and I deserve to be there. And I'm, wanting to perform and do as well as I can.
Yeah. I mean, Pat, for me, Paddy's the biggest one with that because he's just, it seems like he's appeared out of nowhere.
Mm,
But I mean, if you followed it for a couple of years, he turned up at Britain's Strongest Man and he came 10th or whatever it was.
mm.
Not this year, last year.
A few years ago.
And
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
rocked up this year and came 4th, but then went to World's Strongest Man. Um,
Yeah,
and,
because I
and
think because he didn't he come third in Europe's, and then that,
second, didn't
yeah,
he? Was it
second or
second?
third, but getting that podium then pushed
Yeah.
him into
But
didn't it? Yeah,
and when he came 4th in Britain's, it was only because he was like half a point behind
yeah,
Shane Flowers or Flynn,
yeah,
whichever one it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
No, anyway, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
What was I going to say? No, but I don't know what's going on in his head, but he turns up as if he's like I should be here, and
Yeah.
it's brilliant to see that in so early on as well, like as
Mm,
in his first ever time going, and he comes 5th, and it's like, his belief in himself is brilliant.
yeah.
But he's not arrogant with it as well. You know what I mean? He just like,
Mm,
I just show up and do stuff, and he just, you can see his love for it. He absolutely loves it. But that comes from growing up on the farm and stuff like that.
yeah.
But I think that's what holds a lot of people back from a lot of things. And I put a thing up the other day about my old man that because
Oh, that was really, I have to say, that was really like powerful. I saw that and I know I commented on it, but that
I
was,
I think about that all the time because there was
yeah.
loads of stuff he wanted to do and he never did, and there was this hint of sadness about him, and then he died. So
Mm,
it's like,
God.
sod that. So like, I used to get afraid of doing things and thinking, should I do this? Should I be that? Am I a coach? Should I set up a walking group? Who am I to do this? Who am I to do that? It's like, fuck it, because if I don't do it, nobody will. Um,
Mm,
or if somebody else does, I'll wish I had done. So right, I'm going to
mm.
do it. And I'll get things wrong along the way, and I'll get things right along the way, and it doesn't matter because in 50
Yeah,
years' time, it won't matter. So
yeah.
I'm
It
just going
that
to do it
that
anyway.
was Yeah, that was so powerful. I mean, yeah, that was a really good post, and you got a lot of kind of comments on that, didn't you?
Yeah,
People, because you do some things and they just resonate with people, and I think they either resonate because they can see the same thing maybe in one of their parents, or
yeah,
maybe they can see the same thing in them, and it kind of makes them think because we're all. I mean, what's amazing, and I don't want to, you're what are you? Are you 48 now?
yes. I think
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yes,
I think I'm 47 next month, so we're kind of getting towards 50, yeah.
yep,
And I don't feel that at all. And I know most people don't feel their age, but I feel no different now than I did when I was 30. Um, but at the same time, it depends on your perspective and the way you look at it, because you do have to think that we are getting older, and you do start kind of looking at potentially. I mean, hopefully we will both live to at least 100 and be healthy, but
how many
uh,
episodes will it be in by then, do you reckon?
What would that be? Imagine if we're still doing this in like 50 years' time.
We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Yeah. Well, it's 50 a year, isn't it? Approximately.
Yeah, so for 50 years, so
What's
that's
that? Another
whatever that is.
2,500 episodes.
Yeah,
Is that
that'll be
right?
about right. Yeah,
Uh,
we'll have almost caught up with Joe Rogan by then.
oh, sorry. Yeah. 50 times 50. It must be 2,500. Yeah. So, yeah. So we're going to be. But yeah, actually, when you think about it, that's not that many episodes. We'll still be on like maybe under 3,000 episodes. Um, even if we do one every year for the next 50 years. But
We'll be like the Rolling Stones of the podcast world.
yeah. But no, but what I was saying, but but we are getting older, and you have to kind of start, and you do start looking at that. I think that's that post you put about your dad, because I think he died at about 71, 72, didn't he?
65. He was 65.
He was 65 years
He
old.
was 65. And
God,
then you
that's
can
like,
see in that, I mean, I know he had cancer, but in that was before he started. So after that was the September 2003, and he died in the January 2004. And then when he died in the January, there was nothing left of him. It was horrible. But so you can see in that picture, he's still got, he's still
got a round kind of face.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he doesn't look 65.
No.
He just doesn't. I showed one of my clients it who's 62 or 63. I said, "This is what my dad looked like at 65," and he was like, "Bloody hell!" Like, because this guy looks nothing like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
But his lifestyle did it to him. He smoked for 40 years.
Oh
so
God, yeah. Oh no,
that's the way it goes.
definitely. But still, you think that say 65, that's round numbers. That's only 15 years from where we are now.
Exactly.
So that really does force you to look at kind of mortality and things. And I was speaking earlier today to friend of the show, Paul Field, Captain Field, who I did that post the other day that I think where
that was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was brilliant.
Because it was 10 years ago, the photo, and then 10 years. And I don't think he looks a day older than he did 10 years ago. And he's much stronger and fitter now than he was 10 years ago. But he said to me, he was in this morning training with me, and he said that his neighbor, where they live, he heard like a commotion in the garden next door. He was out doing gardening or mowing the lawn or whatever, and heard there's something going, a bit of commotion going on next door. And he knows, he knows his neighbours, and they're both, I think, around 80 or in their 80s. And he said both of them are not in a good way health wise. And the husband had kind of like fallen over in the garden and he couldn't get up. And I think it's because he said that the grass in the garden, he was walking down a few steps onto his lawn, but the grass was a bit overgrown and it was maybe covering one step. So either he thought he had another step to take, or he thought he'd stepped off, and he wrong-footed himself because he came down the step and he fell over, and then he wasn't able to get himself up off the floor, And his wife isn't in a very good physical health wise, and gets lightheaded and dizzy and stuff. So she couldn't help. So I think they may have been calling for help, basically. So Paul went round, and then the neighbour, I think the other side, went round, and Paul and this other neighbour kind of helped him back onto his feet, and he'd injured his arm. He'd kind of scraped his arm up, so they kind of dressed that and made sure he was okay and stuff. But he said, it was quite. He said, "I'm not going to let myself be like that." You know what I mean? And Paul's approaching 60 now, so he sort of said, and he said, yeah, you can get, I mean, Paul, obviously his wife has had a heart transplant, you know what I mean? So sometimes medical things happen that, are out of your control. Something might happen, but everything that he can do, he's going to do to not let himself be that vulnerable, because his parents are both, his dad's like 82, I think, and his mum's 79, and they're both really fit and healthy and active, So he was just like, yeah, and it was kind of like a wake up for him, I think,
He commented on that post you put up as well about him.
Yeah.
And he said, I think he said something like when he first joined the gym, your gym, 10 years ago, whenever it was, 2015 or whatever.
Yeah.
What did he say? He was worried about whether he'd given up, like, ever going snowboarding again, or he was like, "Oh, that'll never happen again." And now he's like, "I'm going to be snowboarding when I'm 80." So
Yeah,
he's so he's gone from between the ages of 50 and 60, if that's how old he is. At 50,
yeah.
he was like, I'm never going to be able to do most of the things I used to be able to do. Now at 60, he's like, I'm going to be able to do all of those
Mm.
things until I'm for the next 20 years. So I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, because
That's
I
a
think he
brilliant.
said,
That's a massive outlook change in a decade when most people are like on a heavy decline.
yeah, and that's the thing, because I think what the original picture, the one that was 10 years ago, I think he'd been a member at the gym a couple of years prior to that. So maybe he joined in about 2013. That
Okay.
picture was 2015. And he said at the time of that picture being taken, he'd lost a couple of stone, from when he first joined as well. But yeah, he said that to me because I think he went snowboarding when he was younger, and then he hadn't been for about, I want to say, like 10 or 15 years. And like you say, he thought, well, I'm never going to go again because I'm never going to be fit enough to go again. Um, and then going now, I mean, he goes 2, 3 times a year again now. And we were talking about it this morning when we were training. He'll be going with us maybe in February. He's got another trip booked up in March. And he mountain bikes every weekend with a friend of his. They go to, he lives quite close to, I think when we had the Olympics over in England in 2012, they had the mountain bike course was like in Hadley or something, which is really close to where he lives. So he actually goes and can do like the Olympic mountain biking course and stuff they used in the Olympics from
I thought you were going to say
2012.
just he went around the velodrome every weekend.
No, so he's into his mountain biking, so he loves it. But yeah, he's an inspiration. We've got so many people who are inspirations. With Jeff Law, who's going to be when we go skiing next year. I think he might be 77 or 78 next year when we go. Which is incredible. Obviously, Edith, who we talk about a lot on the
Yeah.
podcast, 66 years of age, getting stronger every year. Mickey, Mickey and Nikki. Mickey's had his, the Milfords, both in their 70s. So,
Well, Keith on the walk as well. I mean, he was a bit slower and at the back,
mm,
but he kept going. He
yeah.
just kept going and going and going. And like I think I gave him a stick. I had some
Oh,
poles
you
with
had a
him.
walking pole. Yeah,
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 because I take them
yeah,
with me. I never use them. I might use the well, there's two reasons I got them. Because once I was on a slippy thing, a slippy bit of path, and I grabbed a tree like a tree branch and it snapped off, and I skidded further down and all that. So you can't
yeah,
rely on all that. So it's like actually when it's slippy, they're really good to have to
yeah.
get over things like that. But
Mm,
also because a lot of the people who come along are unsteady. So I'm like, do you want to pull? Because I've got
yeah.
two. And most people say no, but every now and then someone will go, do you know what? Yeah, because Keith's knees on the way down that
Yeah,
steep,
he's got
steep
really
bank.
bad. Yeah, always has problems with his knees and his
Yeah,
back. So for him to walk the 11 miles, and like you say, it's usually walking downhill that people find more challenging, because walking downhill obviously is more kind of knees and quads as you put, you've got to make sure you're on a sure footing and all the
yep,
rest of it. Yeah, it's yeah, really, really good. No, it was
yeah,
excellent.
yeah. He was good. Yeah, he was fine with it. And honestly, the night before, when I can't remember the names, but when it was Kelvin
Jenny, Kelvin and Jenny. Yeah,
and Jenny, yeah, when she couldn't make it up, and then the next day they were like, well, we'll just have a wander into town and all that, and I was like, fair enough, but you've come all this way. But then obviously, well, we had the dog with us, didn't we, at the pub?
yeah.
So
It was a bit of a kind of apartheid situation, wasn't it? You weren't allowed. You weren't
so we
allowed
weren't
in the
allowed to eat with you
restaurant because
guys, but
you had a
but
dog.
honestly, Sean's amazing. Like she was tired, she'd finished work, she hadn't been on the walk and everything, and she was like, well, I'll just do the walk around the top. There's a 6 mile around the top. We'll take in most of the sites that you guys will see and most of the views. We just won't get the hills. And she
Hmm.
was like, I'll do that with the dog. And she was like, it'll work out perfectly because it'll get warmer later on. We can take the dog home and then you
Yeah.
can just do that walk with everyone else. And like, that's why she's amazing. Honestly, it was just like no pressure whatsoever. So it was like,
No,
yeah,
and everyone really was really well. It was Jenny, Kelvin, and Alison. I think the
yeah,
Pilates teacher who went with Sean, and they were so happy, so chuffed, so grateful, that she done that walk for them. And then obviously, and everyone else was just saying how great it was, how great you were doing the walks with us, and how much fun it was and how beautiful the walks were and all the rest of it. So no, it was really, really good. No, it was fantastic. It really was. And it was great to catch up with Elise as well, wasn't it? Friend of the
Mm,
show, Elise Ball, came and joined us on the Saturday and did the walk, and she had Steve with her as well.
yeah.
So that was brilliant as well. And
Steve was interesting as well because he said, I mean, he was like he's
he's a
an
super fit
adventurer.
guy. Yeah, yeah, he's
He's a
a fit guy.
mountain biker and all of that. But he said, and this is what I used to be like. If he goes out for a walk, he go and do 15 miles, and he do it as he just march for 15 miles.
Do it as fast as you can, kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
not like purposely do it as fast as you can, but just keep going, keep walking,
Mm,
don't stop, and all that. Whereas now I stop loads and look at the
mm,
scenery and take photos, and I'm
mm,
like, oh,
mm,
this is, and sit down and have a bit of a bit of a
mm,
meditation or whatever.
mm,
Um, and and he said he'd said to Elise, why would I want to go over to Bath to go for a walk with a bunch
mm,
of people who I don't know? It sounds ridiculous. Like, what's there?
mm,
There's nothing there.
mm,
And then at the end of it, he said that was amazing. He goes, we weren't walking too fast. It was really nice to stop and see things. There's lots of history
mm,
around here. I've learned lots of things that I didn't know. There's also lots of things that you didn't tell me that are around that you
mm,
probably don't know are there. And I'm like, I know, so I keep
mm,
discovering stuff. Um, and he just said it was absolutely brilliant. Like
mm,
how he never would have done that, but it just opened up. He was like, he didn't know all of that was there. He thought
mm.
Bath was just there and that was it. And it's like, no,
Yeah,
there's
yeah, he
like all
said
the
that
hills
to
around
me.
it.
Yeah, he said that to me how much he enjoyed it as well. And then
Yeah,
we got to that pub at the end, which was right next to Lansdowne Racecourse.
yeah, yeah,
And he sat and they had a meal outside, and yeah, it's just fantastic. And again, that's
yeah.
why, what I said with what I do in Unique Results, with just trying to help people get the most out of life, and what we do on the podcast here, helping people live a long, strong, and energetic life. And the training that you do in the gym or whatever you do really should just complement your life and allow you to experience those things, because and like when we spoke about Steve Bush many times on the podcast, but it should allow you to say yes to more things rather
Yeah,
than say no.
absolutely.
And that was why it was brilliant, and that's why I loved it. And I mean, it'd be amazing if another. I mean, we will definitely, because Mickey said today, he goes, "Oh, it'd be great to go back to Bath again. Maybe not, not next year, but in a year or two's time, and do more different walks."
You could come back every year for the next 20 years and I'd take you on a
Yeah,
different walk every
yeah,
time.
I know,
Seriously, two different walks. We could
I
do
know.
shorter ones and longer ones. I could do
Yeah.
that for the next 20 years. Easy.
Yeah, but even it might be really nice if we were doing another walking weekend somewhere else. It'd be amazing if you and Sean could come to,
Yeah,
come and join us, and bring Sid with you. And yeah, yeah, because I feel like you're kind of part of it now. Do you know? What I mean? It's really it's so good. It really is great.
absolutely. Yeah, we could do that as
Yeah,
well. Easily.
brilliant, brilliant. Right. Well, that was really good catching up. That was brilliant. And we will. Well, you heard me, because we will be back next week with Andrea Thompson.
In about 5 minutes.
No, that's a secret. That's a secret. We'll be back next week with Andrea Thompson, who is 2018 World's Strongest Woman, 4 times Britain's Strongest Woman, 2023 World's Strongest Woman Masters 40 plus, star of the documentary A Strong Woman. So we'll be back next week for episode 259 with Andrea Thompson. Brilliant. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so. And yeah, leave a review, especially Apple Podcasts if you're on there. And we will be back next week for episode 259. We will see you then. Bye bye.